Life Check Yourself with Natalie Ledwell. Manifestation hacks. How mind movies and brainwaves can rewire your success. Hey ladies, I am loving this for you. If you are interested in manifesting, if you want to hear the latest technology and a whole new modality around how to manifest that you've literally never heard of before, this is the show for you because I have Natalie Ledwell here. She is a friend of mine and a best-selling author and co-founder of Mind Movies, which is a massively successful online personal development company. They've reached over 10 million humans worldwide. She is also the founder of the Mind Movies Method Coaching Academy, helping people who are looking for a change and facing the next chapter of their lives, which you know is my jam, to tap into their passions and help others. And her passion from the core of who she is to help anyone struggling to manage their emotional well-being. And she, from that deep passion, just created an app called FeelWise. And it's an AI-based app, and it's literally revolutionizing the way teens, adults, and organizations are caring for and managing their emotional needs. So you want to make sure you listen when we get into that. She also has a brand new groundbreaking emotional intelligence and life skills curriculum entitled Personal Growth Studies. Her ripple effect is so massive. She's getting it into schools, helping, God knows we need, youth ages 5 to 18. She got the President's Lifetime Achievement Award last year in 2024. She's a genius. I'm super excited that you are here. Congratulations on that award.
Thank you. I know it was very unexpected. And I think, Lifetime Achievement Award, I'm only 55.
Just imagine.
Sure.
Exactly. I know. That's so true. I'm really excited too that, and I just want to really acknowledge you for getting this work into schools. I just started doing, like a volunteering where I'm mentoring a 13-year-old, and she was just telling me about how she has social anxiety and she's getting bullied and it's hard to make friends and there's just literally no resources. So I want to make sure if you are listening and you know someone, a young person, a kid, definitely you want to listen and get in touch with Natalie's organization to see how you can get this program in your school because, our generations to come need this support. So that being said, let's talk about this new brainwave technology, the modality. What was the impetus behind creating it and what does it do and why is it different? Let's just get right to it.
Yeah. Well, as you know, with Mind Movies, like we've reached, millions of people. But what I realized is that a lot of the people that I work with are women like me. Probably women like you and women who are listening to this particular recording, where we get to this part of our life and we're like, okay, I've got all this life experience. I've done with the responsibility part of my life. Like my kids have grown up, I don't have to do the career thing anymore. Maybe I've stepped out of a marriage or a long-term relationship. And it's like, well, who am I and what can I contribute and what can I do in the world that's going to make a difference? And I'm finding that many women are in that position. So I'm like, all right, how can we through Mind Movies help that? So we created the Mind Movies Method Coaching Academy. So helping women who want to step into something where they know they can make a difference, and as a coach, but coaching whatever. So this is, what we teach a lot is mindset, manifestation, that kind of thing. But what sets us apart from most other personal development companies and coaching academies out there is how we use technology for transformation. So I'm like,
tell me more. I want to know, right? And by the way, your company has always been on the forefront because I remember like 15 years ago or 13 years ago when Mind Movies you were just using technology to create your mind movie with the iPhone and all of that. And that was like revolutionary. Yeah. And so I really want everyone to pay attention because this is like the future now. And you could be so way ahead of the curve if you're adopting this technology. So tell me what it is.
Yeah. So, obviously there is the mind movie component. And if you haven't heard of Mind Movies, a mind movie is like a vision board. So back last century, people would cut out photos of the magazines of the house they wanted to live in, the car they wanted to drive, the holiday they wanted to be on. So they would put them on a board, stick it up on the wall, so that every time they would look at a picture of that car, it was easier for them to imagine themselves or to visualize themselves driving the car or living in the house or being on the holiday. So a mind movie takes it a little step further. And there's a couple of reasons why it's so effective. Number one, you kind of have to get clear about what you want before you make a mind movie. So you think about, what wealth means to you. And we have a little process. And this is what I, teach our coaches to do, is how to get people to comprehensively describe the future that they want. And you're thinking about everything from what it is to what life looks like to why you want it. Why you want to create that, or you're also thinking about, who you need to become, the thoughts you need to think, all of those kind of things. But then you're putting them and articulating all of that in a slideshow that is a combination of affirmations that's describing what you want, photos that match the affirmations and gives your mind a place to start from, and then music or a song, which is the secret sauce. Because when you visualize, what's more important than what you see in your mind is the emotions that you're feeling at the time.
Yes.
Because if we want to be a vibrational match to the things that we need to make it happen, what our vibration is our thoughts and our emotions. So if I'm creating a mind movie around love, I'm using a love song because that is the emotion that I want to be feeling when I'm visualizing myself in this amazing relationship. So you choose a song that's going to elicit the emotion that you want. So you combine those three things together and you have this little movie that you can download to your phone or your device, watch it a couple of times a day, that not only just motivates you, but it helps to train your reticular activating system. So now you're on the lookout for anything that's going to help you to make this a reality. So it's a really cool little tool, which we've, been in business now for like 16, 17 years or something, a really long time. So we train our coaches on how to help people make their own mind movies. And of course, they get a whole bunch of mind movies accounts to give to their clients as well. But then the modality that we created for this includes what we call brainwave entrainment audio. So this brainwave entrainment audio, what it does is it helps to change your brainwave state when you listen to it so that your brainwaves become coherent, or they match the frequency that you're listening. And this frequency is the frequency of theta.
So explain what that is for people who aren't aware.
Yeah. So, we have different brainwave states: sleeping brainwave state, waking. Now, theta is a very similar frequency to the unified field, to the quantum field. So
universe, God, divine, high frequency, however you all define it, but it's that oneness state that is a felt experience that is created through the state that you embody, right? So this is getting you there. So explain.
Yeah. So and basically what it's doing is it's getting you into suggestible mind. Now, when you're in suggestible mind, whatever you're watching or listening to is now going into your subconscious mind. It's getting programmed in there in a very quick manner. So this is kind of similar to hypnotherapy. So when you're in a hypnotherapy session, the hypnotherapist is taking you through a series of talking you into a situation where you are taking your mind into suggestible mind, and then they are feeding back to you affirmations or suggestions that you've come up together in the session. So that's going to help you for these new beliefs and these thoughts and everything to be programmed into your mind at a much faster rate. But with the brainwave entrainment, that takes all that effort out. And so you basically listen to the brainwave entrainment. For the first 5 minutes of this, you are watching your mind movie. So whatever you're watching is now going into your subconscious mind. And then for the second 5 minutes of the brainwave entrainment, so it goes for 10 minutes, your coach is now feeding back to you the affirmations that you came up with together around what it is that you want to create, the limiting belief that you want to release, the new success habit that you want to adopt, or whatever that is. So it's a very fast process, and we have a number of women who are already coaches who have mentioned that they've seen their clients get results in weeks. They've never seen anything happen this fast. It's because we're able to, through technology, get you into that place where not only are you able to absorb all of this information and this amazing new future that you want to create, but what that does is it also creates new neural pathways with positive thoughts traveling along them. And it helps to build your belief in a very fast, period of time. So now, because you believe that this can happen and that you can, create this reality for yourself, you're able to do it in a much faster rate than you ever have before.
And this is really important because I think so many people come to coaching and they're like, I want to get rid of my beliefs, right? And they forget, I think, that you can, release a belief or understand where the trauma comes from or do forgiveness. But if you're not feeding the positive cognitive bias of the new identity and the new future, then all the releasing in the world doesn't matter because those defaults will creep back in if you're not going to the mind gym, right? Yeah. And actually getting to that state. What do you say to people who are like, Natalie, it's just this a fancy way to say meditation. Like, I don't meditate. This doesn't work for me. It's hard. I can't be still. I don't like to close my eyes. What do you say? Why is this so different?
The reason this is different is because it's only a short 10-minute thing. And this is, you're in session with your coach. So it's not like you're doing it by yourself. Your coach is leading you through this. But afterwards, it's helps you with your visualization. So, like I said before, you want to be able to see yourself already living this life, having these things in this reality. Now, I worked with Dr. Joe Dispenza for 9 years and traveled.
Yeah.
He used mind movies as well. So how he would use them is that he would have people watch this huge kaleidoscope up on a screen. Now, the purpose of the kaleidoscope was to get you into suggestible mind, which is exactly what our brainwave entrainment does. So you're watching that, and then you start watching your mind movie repetitively, and then you go back to the kaleidoscope, and you go back to your mind movie, but then you go back to the kaleidoscope listening to the song of your mind movie. So now it becomes an anchor. So your mind is now already starting to populate and see yourself in this future because you've now associated it with that song that you have. Then we'd go into our meditation, and he would get us to dimensionalize one scene or one slide from our mind movie. So how that translates, but how we do it is that you want to choose a moment that you are going to experience once you reach this future.
Okay.
And rather than seeing yourself as a character in a movie, what you want to do is experience it as if you're experiencing it now. So what do you see, what do you taste, what are you touching, what are you like what are you smelling, what's going on around you, and really not just feel like you're experiencing it, but what emotions are you feeling? So for an example of that, I created an amazing relationship and I met my guy in August of 2020 when everything was shut down.
Right.
Now, part of how I did that is obviously I had a mind movie about all the things, the qualities of him and what I wanted our relationship to look like and all that kind of stuff. But the visualization that I would do is I would see myself, we were on a beach. I could feel the deck chair underneath my body. I could smell the ocean and hear the waves crashing. And I was holding a man's hand and he was on the deck chair next to me. And the feeling that I was feeling was like just this contentment and love and just feeling like safe and secure, And then after I created that mind movie and then we're doing the visualizations, it was probably about 2 or 3 months later, I met my guy, Bert. And then within the first month, we're like, okay, well, let's see if we can travel together. So we did a road trip because, everything's kind of closed.
Right.
And we went to Monterey, and I remember us sitting out on the beach, and I'm having a moment going, wow.
You manifested it.
This is what I was visualizing. So, and once you create a visualization like that, you don't have to sit down with your eyes closed. To be able to go there. You could be vacuuming the house or driving the car or doing some kind of unconscious activity, and then you can actually go there. And the more often you go there and feel those emotions of being already there, what you're doing is making yourself a vibrational match or a vibrational magnet to everything that you need to make it happen. So the more often you can do that, the better that is.
So when people are doing this, how does it help someone who is afraid to dream big because they're afraid they're going to be disappointed? Because I've seen people have conversations with me where they're like, well, my realistic goal would be, or, I can't even, and I hear this a lot, what would it look like if you, I don't know. I can't even imagine it. I've never even felt that in my life. How do you help people who are sort of like stuck in that, afraid to dream big and commit to, wanting something in their life that's beyond what they could even imagine?
Yeah. Now, well, I'm of the opinion that if you don't set the big number or if you don't set the big goal, then you'll never reach it. So, I mean, what do you got to lose?
Well, that is true, right? Like your ego, failing, like in the end, so what, right?
Well, failing, is there such a thing as failing? I mean, for me, it's just like, oh, that didn't work. All right, let's figure out another way.
Exactly.
But I think that when you're moving towards a big goal like that, if it's the money amount that scares you, then don't think of the money amount. Think about how it's going to change your life. Right. So think about, what does life look like? What am I doing? Oh, I'm going to go to Italy and I'm going to eat my way around Italy, drink amazing wine, and I'm going to be with my partner, or I'm going to be with my family or whatever. So then you focus on that. Okay. Because the meaning that you're giving to that Italian holiday is abundance.
Right? Okay.
So, and even if it's like, you're creating money through, let's say, coaching, for example, I have a lot of my coaches imagine and visualize themselves in a session with someone and seeing how, the other person is giving them feedback and telling them how much their life has changed and they're being grateful and all that kind of thing. You're tapping into that. Now, the more that you can tap into those kind of emotions and those kind of moments, then everything is going to come. And not necessarily through money.
Oh, interesting. Elaborate.
So, like you could win a holiday to Italy, or you could have someone who's a rich friend go, look, I needed someone to come with me. Someone's pulled out. Why don't you come last minute or whatever? Like there's so many other ways that can happen. But and the money, and it could also create the money as well. So I think for me, I always think about, well, how do I want to feel in my life? Like, what are the things that I want to do, the way that I want to show up? I think about all those different kinds of things. And also how do I want to serve, and how do I want to serve the people that I'm serving? And then the money comes. I always have a number. I always have a scary number.
Right.
But it just seems, because I'm not focusing specifically on the money for the money's sake, I'm really focusing on what I'm doing with the money, how I'm serving, how I'm helping, and how it's, really positively affecting the people that I love around me.
That's so big. When people think about abundance and confidence, because I think it's putting yourself out there to actually take the action. And when someone is creating their mind movie or getting that clarity on that, how do you suggest, and I think I kind of asked this before, but I want to dive a little deeper. How do you help someone have a felt sense of an experience of something they've never had?
Right. So, I think that if it's something that you haven't had, like money, then what is the closest thing to it?
Okay.
So, I can't imagine having $1 million in my bank. I've never experienced that. I've never seen $1 million balance in my bank account. But it's like, okay, but if I did have that, then that's what is something that I will experience.
So you could think of like another goal that you achieved in your life that was beyond what you expected for yourself.
Yeah.
Whether it's like running a mile for the first time or, going on a hike, something that you've done that you achieved.
Yeah.
And it's small, I would guess, right? Doesn't have to be.
But I think too that the part of this is about, can I believe that I can do it?
Okay.
And remember, it's not just you.
Okay.
Because the reason that you're creating mind movies and being in gratitude and hanging out in positive emotions and visualizing and taking action, the reason you're doing that is because you want to leverage the power of the universe.
Okay, so explain. So for people who are skeptical,
Right.
What does that mean to you? And what does that mean to someone who is like, I'm not sure, science,
Okay. So if you're listening to this right now and you've worked towards a goal before, you've set yourself a goal and you've worked towards it. And you may remember back that there could have been some time where, you had something fall into place. An opportunity popped up. So you met somebody that had the answer for you. Maybe a job opportunity came in. Something showed up that helped you that you didn't necessarily plan for, that you didn't necessarily, make happen. But it kind of showed up because, it was perfect that it did, and because it was helping you towards your goal. This is what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I think we can all, if we all look back, we can all go, yeah, I remember that time when I really wanted this thing. And then out of the blue, this guy called or my friend told me about this amazing job opportunity or whatever that was. This is, these are the things I'm talking about. So with the people that I work with, I highly recommend that if they have a gratitude journal, which if you don't have one, I recommend you start one.
Yep.
Writing down, at least 3 to 5 things every day, not the same things, different things. But to add to that, your evidence journal.
I love that evidence journal. I called it a brag book, but I like an evidence journal. That's cool.
Yeah. So the evidence journal is evidence that you could go back and remind yourself, oh, that's right. I am on the right track. I am doing the right thing because all these things fell into place that I didn't do. These things showed up for me. And, and for me, I said that those things come from the universe or they come from God or the divine or whatever that is, because we're so in alignment through our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions to what it is that we want to create. That is what helps these things to fall into place because everything that we're doing is in alignment with that.
I love that. When I keep thinking about this house that we live in, I also felt like I had this just knowing that something was going to happen, and so one of the things that I love about this is it almost like creates a little bit of patience because you're doing something. And that's what I wanted to ask you. This is my next question is that you can manifest, you could look at a mind movie, but if you're just sitting in your, living room watching reruns of How I Met Your Mother and you don't do anything, there has to be some sort of action, right? Like, so how do you get people to take action when they're seeing it and they just have I think of the old way of manifestation is like, you're supposed to look at it and then like a pool pops in your backyard or something like that. Yeah. How do you, what action is required? So how are you getting your clients to do the brave thing?
Yeah. So the brave thing is just to take the first step. I know that when I first discovered the law of attraction was actually when I purchased The Secret. That was one of my big takeaways. I'm like, oh, I don't need to know the whole plan. I just need to start taking action and be in alignment with what I want. Oh, that's pretty cool because things are going to show up that I couldn't have planned for anyway, right? So you can look at the mountain of things that need to happen and get overwhelmed and make you immobile, or you go, all right, what's my first step? My perfect example of this is that I, back in, 10 years ago, I created Mind Movies for Kids, a kids version of the Mind Movie software. And I had a download to do that. And then I'm like, well, now what? Now what do I do with it? And then through a random series of events, I find myself on a phone call with a friend of mine who connected me with the dean of a university in Medellin in Colombia and his interpreter. And we're having this conversation and we are committing to donate 10,000 Mind Movies for Kids accounts for them to help, with the schools and with, down in Medellin. And then he said, could you also create a curriculum to go along with the Mind Movies? And I go, yes, thinking, I have no idea how to do that. And I said, well, what do you need? He goes, well, let's do 12 lessons, school bullying, that kind of thing. We'll focus on that. I'm like, okay, no problem. I hang up the phone and I start to have a meltdown because I'm like, I don't even know how to do that. I'm not qualified. I don't have kids. I left school when I was 15. Like the whole, that story is going through my mind. So then I'm like, all right, I know what to do here. So the first thing I do is sit down. I just calm myself and I go into a visualization and I see myself walking into a classroom in Colombia and, talking to the teacher, and I can hear the kids, they're screaming and they're pulling on my clothes and they're all happy, and the teacher's just expressing how grateful they are and how much it's made a change and all of that. So now I'm, vibrationally a match to
right.
What I want, right? That's where I'm ending up. So that I come out of it and I go, okay, what's the first thing I need to do? What's my first step? And I'm like, do I know a teacher? Because maybe there's a universal way that these lessons are laid out. So I did know one woman. I called her up and she goes, yeah. She goes, I'll send you the outline of a lesson plan. And I'm like, ooh, so at least
cool.
I know what I'm doing, right?
Right.
So then, I lay out the thing. So I had 2 weeks to get this done. So they had time to translate it before school started. So I talked to my copywriter for Mind Movies and I go, dude, I need your help. I go, this is what I need. These are the lessons. If you can help me to kind of flesh this out. And he goes, I've got a secret weapon. I'm like, what's that? And he goes, my wife's a school teacher that specializes in early age curriculum. I'm like,
oh my gosh.
I go, are you serious? That's the evidence. That's the thing. I'm like, okay, because I had a certain deadline, but I knew where I wanted to end up and I was completely aligned with it. And this is what dropped into my lap. So, and that's how it works sometimes.
Right. Because I always say about this intentional life design, really going for living a life outside the box, is that you can't imagine it sometimes, right? Like you don't know exactly, but you know how you want to feel. And so this idea of trusting the universe, taking action, understanding this coherency, getting into the suggestible mind, and then just following the breadcrumbs. I mean, it takes a little bit of faith. So how do you blend? And I think this is your secret sauce, but like this blending of like faith, which is a really important thing, plus science. Right. So how does this approach kind of like put it all together?
Well, the science part of what I'm talking about is really how we're changing, we're increasing our brain plasticity. Our brain plasticity really dictates how quickly we can create a new neural pathway in the brain. And along these neural pathways are traveling these thoughts that we have all day, every day. And for a lot of us, the thoughts that we think on a regular basis, when it comes to thinking about money or our self-worth or our, attractiveness or our lovability, are really connected to old programs and old beliefs that we adopted when we were kids.
Yep.
That aren't necessarily true. Now, because some of us have been at this age, we've been thinking them for maybe 50 years.
Right.
They become so second nature and so normal to us that we don't even realize that we're thinking them, and that we don't realize that they're holding us back from being able to achieve what we want. Because consciously we know we want that a relationship and that money and that career. But subconsciously, these thoughts are coming through to our conscious mind that are not going to help us get over the line. So this is why when you're creating a mind movie and you're doing your visualizations and you're doing this on a regular basis and you're really dimensionalizing that while you're in that visualization, we are starting to create new neural pathways through repetition, because that's how the old pathways got strong in the first place, through repetition, thoughts that are in alignment that are going to help us to feel positively about ourselves, to see ourselves in a good light with our lovability and our worthiness and our capability. So once we're creating all of that and we've got these now, because you remember how this works is that our subconscious mind is, absorbing 40 million bits of data per second. Like it's like a supercomputer. Our conscious mind is only really processing 40, right? So we want to make sure that the 40 thoughts that are making it through to our conscious mind are the ones that are in alignment with what it is that we want to create.
I mean, soundbite, people, right? Like, because the one thing that you could choose is your thoughts. I mean, we have a lot of freedoms that get taken away in different situations. So when someone says, oh, I can't do that, or you don't know my unique situation, or you don't know how hard it is for me, and I've heard all of those things, this is really the agency that someone has. Is if there's 40, how are you going to be empowered to override the old thinking?
Yeah. So, and really it is through repetition and deciding, like, for a lot of people, if you are aware of some of these negative thoughts that are coming up, and normally they really become obvious when we start to move towards a goal, because now we're challenging the old paradigm, right?
Yeah.
We're challenging the whole thoughts. And this is where they become obvious. So I always recommend get a piece of paper, write them down, get them out of your head, write them down. And once you see them in the light of day, sometimes that's like, damn, I had no idea. Like you could set aside 5 minutes and just go and just start writing out all the thoughts that come to you when you think about making $1 million. If you had $1 million in your bank account right now, what are the thoughts that are coming up for you? And just write them all out. So once you become aware of that, you need to set in the intention that you want to release them, that, okay, this is not where I'm going to be operating from anymore. You can go through a little process of, understanding and forgiveness. A lot of the time we understand that where they come from, like, for example, like with my parents, like I didn't think I had money limiting beliefs until I did a little process with a woman back in 2008. I'm like, how could I not? Like, I'm one of 8 kids, grew up in a country town. I mean, in a 3-bedroom house with 1 bathroom.
Right.
Yeah, as if that experience did not affect me in some way.
Yeah, for sure.
Once I realized that, I was like, okay, I can release it. And a lot of it I was emulating my parents' behavior. Sometimes was the things that they said. But I could understand and the forgiveness in that situation wasn't really for my parents because they were just doing the best they could with what they had. But the forgiveness was more for me. Like, how was I not aware of this until now? Like, well, how, I'm like, why didn't I not realize? And blah, blah, blah. And why did I allow myself to have those thoughts? So the forgiveness was more around that. Sometimes, we forgive our parents and we really understand, well, if this is what their behavior was, well, where did that come from? Like if I'm being influenced by my experience as a kid, what was their experience as a kid? What did they go through? So it explains that as well. But then the last process of this, and this is the most important part, you have to decide what you're going to replace those thoughts with.
Right. You
have to decide beforehand what you're going to replace those thoughts with, because if you don't and you just keep catching yourself saying these, like, you'll keep defaulting into the regular thoughts. Now, once you've done that, then you've decided these are going to be my new thoughts that I'm thinking moving forward. It's not like you're never going to think the other thoughts again. They've got very strong.
Right. This isn't like a full-on return program where you just drop them off and get the new ones and set them on your shelf.
Exactly. They're still going to come up. So this is what I recommend you do.
Okay.
When you catch yourself in a thought that you don't want to think, you go cancel, cancel, cancel. Only love exists here.
Ooh, write that one down, guys. Put it on a Post-it note.
Now, the reason we do that is a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a pattern interrupt, right? So it's going to stop you in that thought, and it's going to give you enough pause to remember what you wanted to replace that thought with. So you can do that shift. Now, the reason that we say only love exists here, because what we don't want to do is start to beat ourselves up and go, damn it, I didn't want to think that thought. Oh, my God, I'm never going to get it, blah, 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 go down that little rabbit hole. We don't want you to do that. We want you to be kind with yourself because it is going to take a little bit of time. And again, through repetition, you'll find that after a while, you don't need to do that anymore. It will become your new default.
And then you'll go for a bigger dream, and then you'll have more, like you were talking about, you have this really successful company, you had an idea. And I think that's a really important thing. It doesn't matter how successful you are, how much money you have, whatever it is. We all have these thoughts. And when we put ourselves in a situation to go bigger or dream or do something new, the old shit comes in. And so it doesn't mean you're bad or you're messed up or you're unfixable. It means new level, new devil, new, like you need to clean the filters again.
Yeah. Well, there's always another level, unfortunately, or fortunately, Because when you can get to a place where you go, oh, I recognize what this is. Yeah, I know where this comes from, blah, blah, blah. You know, you've got your little process, and then, you know, you can keep moving forward. And even when you think, oh, I thought I cleared this up. And maybe you did in another area of life or in another situation, but when you go to another level, there will always be something else coming up, which is why you can't use your limiting beliefs as an excuse to not move forward. Because believe me, there are billionaires in this world who are messed up.
Yes.
Still have $1 billion. So, you know, so you can't use it as an excuse. And it's just part of the journey. And I think that when you realize that there is always another level, that there is always going to be another level of expansion for you, then you just realize it's just the journey. It's just the journey.
And I think that's so important, because when you understand, and this is, I've been preaching this, you know, for the last few years, is that the problem is if you think that that next destination is the thing that's going to make you happy, it's the journey, right? And so really being in this space of creation, one of the things I talk about in my book is that one of the keys to living a meaningful life is to create. And this whole process that you're talking about of creating ideas, creating vision, creating new neural pathways, you're alive in your life. It gets you off autopilot. So I love that you created something new.
Thank you. And the other thing too that also helps me in this situation as well is my spiritual beliefs. You know, so let's talk about that side of the coin as well, because, you know, I know everyone believes something different, but for me, what helps me in these situations is that I believe that everything is made up of energy. Everything is the divine. Everything is God, right? So we are emanations of God wanting to know itself. Mm-hmm. So we're here in this third dimensional playground so that we can experience love and hate and hot and cold and good and bad and everything else that goes on with it. And that we, even though we have forgotten that we are an emanation of God when we are incarnated into this little playground, that's part of the game, right? And if you look at it as if this is just a game, this is a playground for which we can have any experience that we want. Our thoughts are creating our reality, right? So if we get intentional about what it is that we want, and the things that we want to create, there's absolutely no reason why we can't have it.
Ah, I love that. So everyone needs to listen to this episode like literally once a week and hear Natalie tell you that you are creating your reality and here's how. And to like, this is like, I think of when I go on runs and I listen to that Pump Me Up song. What you just said is like the soundtrack. Now what you need to do is you need to put mind movie, music, and then Natalie Ledwell's voice being like, you can do this with this awesome Australian accent. And then it's going to be a whole new level.
I'm thinking music. I'm visualizing. I'm hearing the the soundtrack to Chariots of Fire.
Yes. Da, 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 da. You guys got this. I love it. Natalie, thank you so much. I have, it's really fun. I remember we took a walk once in Marina Del Rey on the beach and you got that phone call about the kids and you brought that to life and now you've helped so many children and it's just expanded because you took your idea and you did this process and believed in yourself. And that is the ripple effect. So people who are listening, if you have that calling, that knowing, that intuition, like the world's waiting for you to get brave and find your way. So mindmovies.com. Definitely check out the show notes. Any last words of inspiration, Natalie, for our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you understand the mechanics of how to, elicit the law of attraction and, manifest and do what it is that you want, the only thing that's holding you back is, moving through that fear. And I think that we all, when you're going for something big, we always feel fear. That's part of the process. And the difference between people who are successful and who are still on their way to success is that we don't stay there. We feel it and go, okay, yeah, all right. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing here, but I'll figure it out. And then we keep moving forward through it. So if fear is coming up for you, don't let that stop you. Just let that remind you that you are obviously on the right track, because if you're feeling fear, then it's something that must really be worth it.
Oh, I love it. I mean, honestly, this book on this shelf here, like I got rejected so many times. And one of my best rejections, she told me, can you redo this proposal in this certain way? And then she came back and said, I still don't want it. But then I sent out that new one and that was the key. So like every obstacle is an opportunity. You just have to keep focusing on the vision and the feeling. So this episode is a download, save, repeat, share with your friends. Mindmovies.com. Ladies, so many things that you can use in this episode to life check yourself. So many. We've got cancel. What is it? Cancel.
Cancel. Only love exists here.
Write that down right now. Cancel. Only love exists here. There's a million more. Share this, live it. Remember, it is your opportunity and your responsibility to life check yourself. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now. Hey, thanks for tuning in today. Listen, if you're feeling stuck, I want you to know you're not alone. And you don't have to settle for it. I've created a free quiz to help you pinpoint what's draining your energy and exactly how you can fix it. So head over to decodeyourdestinyquiz.com and take the 60-second quiz right now. That's decodeyourdestinyquiz.com. And if you're ready to dive deeper, you can book a free no-obligation consultation at marnibatista.com/private coaching. That's Marni, M-A-R-N-I, Batista, B-A-T-T-I-S, as in Sam, T-A.com/private coaching, all one word. Let's take the first step to creating a life you love on your terms. I'm Marni, and I'll see you next time.